on behalf of Eduardo Constantini, who's the chairman of Consultatio, and he's here tonight, and his entire team, particularly Marcos Corti Maderna, they bought this property, Mr. Constantini bought this property in 2009, and I think that all of you can recognize through our commitment in the last year or two that we share the values of the village, particularly the commitment to excellence in design and sensitivity to the community. That's evident from what we put before you tonight.
Mr. Chairman, member of the council, I am here today to express the importance for my company of this project. As John said, we bought this property in 2009. This is one of the four main projects that Consultatio have. We worked very hard, we were very involved, and in these 2 years, we had the opportunity to work with the village, and I personally had many meetings with Mr. Kaplan, and from those meetings, I understood, and Consultatio too, not only the importance that you give to this project, but the willingness that you have to make the best of this project. And in that sense, we understood, or we think that we understood.
This one, right here, yes. And you can see here how the project has been changing slowly. As you can see, the removal and the eventual relocation of the towers to a different position, and eventually evolving into what I'm going to show you today, which is essentially two buildings that are linked by a suspended volume, a bridge. And I'll tell you a little bit more in a second about it.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Helfman. I'm the village attorney, and I'm gonna, again, this evening is August 22nd, 2011. This is going to be, we're gonna go ahead in a moment and reopen a public hearing, which is, this is a special meeting for that purpose. But the next in order would be any other persons who would like to speak in favor of the application. Anybody else from the community who is in support of this application that would like to speak in favor?
Mr. Cambó.
Manny Cambó, 621 Harbor Drive. I come obviously in support of the project. I made my intent on supporting the project long ago. I believe it's a magnificent project. But I'm here a little bit annoyed and perturbed that this $7 million has been designated for open space just because you all felt like it. If it was so diligent in your conversations with Consultatio, did anybody mention any alternatives for the $7 million other than open space? Mr. Consultatio did recognize that you, as the mayor, were designated. Did the prospects of the $7 million for schooling ever come up, or anything other than open space by either Mr. Consultatio or yourself?
My understanding and belief is that the money was allocated as it was under the prior plan.
So so nobody on this council suggested anything other than open space. Is that it? Any council members before or after? Is there any record of this?
I think the $7 million is to solve our concurrency issues. You know,
But
Well-
there is no, this is a quasi-judicial process. There is no process by which the council engages with the developer in negotiation. If it wouldn't be up to this council to do that. So there's no process under which they would do that. This is a voluntary covenant offered by the developer. It was offered by the original developer, and they're simply offering the same thing. If you want to talk to them about it, maybe you can convince them to give it to something else. But their commitment is to put it towards parks or open space, which is a principal priority of this community, I believe. I've been here a long time. And I think that's a priority. But it would not be up to the council to solicit that or engage in that discussion. That would be improper for them.
Okay, so if the interests of the community are in tow here, and the contingency of concurrency is basically self-imposed, that's been acknowledged by this council, and there has been obviously a lot of discussions in this community, as Mr. Shubin mentioned about the debate about what this project should mean for the community, then schooling has to have been part of the conversation. I've had a conversation with Consultatio, and my question is simple: did the developer ever request or suggest anything other than open space? And you're telling me no.
No.
Okay. So, be as it may, I don't believe, I'm still in support of the project, but I don't believe that the $7 million should go to open space or community center. Those are not the needs of the community. Might be popular, but it's only popular among registered voters. It's not popular among the community as a whole. That was acknowledged by phone banks, surveys, you name it, that they were happy with their open space. And you all self-imposed your concurrency, your lack thereof. So I wouldn't approve this plan today. I don't think you should approve this plan today. I believe it's, it's been acknowledged here that it's still incomplete in terms of landscaping plan and stuff like that. So I'm really disappointed because everybody knows the needs out here, and every municipality, whether it's here, Washington State, New Delhi, India, every community must educate their kids, especially if they can. And we had discussions back in February, where any of these meetings after that February the 15th meeting, the last time I was here, talking about the deficiencies at the elementary school. So there is issues here that if they're diligent, in fact, like Mr. Shubin said, that you had conversations that are diligent, I don't see how it's either illegal or improper for you all to consider that these $7 million don't go to open space. Now, does that affect their covenant if the village were to use it other than those designated by their suggestions?
Yes, they can.
So the village can't?
No.
Okay, now what about the effects on the parcel of the impact fees? Are the impact fees completely separate from this covenant?
There is no impact fee.
So the county is not being paid, or it's been waived, or what's the status on the impact fee?
Any impact fee owed to the county is paid to the county.
Okay, and those impact fees are designated for schooling as well. Has the council done anything about making sure that impact fee goes to the impacted community, which is Key Biscayne? Or is the county free to spend the impact fee anywhere it wishes? I mean, these are issues that are of interest to Key Biscayne. I want to know if this is going to be acknowledged before this plan is approved, because the impact fees are associated with this development. So
We don't have control over the county's
money.
money. We don't have control over what the county's own funds.
That's not true.
We-
That
we-
is not true.
Okay, man, I don't want to get into this debate right now. This is about the site plan on this issue.
It's about the impact fees.
Okay, but it's about the impact fees. We can talk about that later, but let's talk about the site plan. You were up here.
Oh, I think the site plan is beautiful,
Well,
but
that-
I want to approve a plan, it improves all the details of the plan. And I think that one of the details is the $7 million covenant. And from what I see here, if the needs of the communities are not met, the variances are being bought. It's that simple. I want you guys to seriously consider that, because that's how it appears to the people on TV, who are watching it on TV. I might be the only person up here to say this, and I know it might annoy you, but that's a $7 million covenant, and there's deficient facilities here that has to do with education, and that money could go to there. And if you guys could care less about kids and education, how come underground utilities isn't considered? I mean, there's a storm on its way. I've had enough.
Our concurrency is imposed by the state of Florida.
I don't understand the
We
master
had
plan.
to adopt a means to satisfy it. That's what our self-imposed constraint is. The questions that you've posed about how this was negotiated was, I think, replicated by the original covenant from 2007. The concurrency standards cover a lot of things. You've heard testimony tonight about the fact that the developers will apply the money towards open space and recreational needs. So we thank you for your comments. We've noted them. Thank you.
Okay, one final question. If you purchase the open space, in the case, your choice, can you, and I ask this to the city attorney, if you do purchase open space, a land for open space, can a facility be put on that property that you purchased, that $7 million? A multi-use facility with recreational facilities and all that, but can it be used for a school? If the village were to buy the land?
I don't know.
Okay, then I've asked the questions I wanted, and I hope that you all as elected officials pose these issues on the legality of that. Because if you do buy open space, it should be, used for school.
Thank you.
And I've learned over the years, there's certain issues that are village issues or city issues and other issues that are our issues, but I don't want anyone to think that we're being cute on the issue of the $7 million contribution. That $7 million contribution, as has already been pointed out, is a historical remnant of the previous covenant. And it is actually directly linked to your policy with respect to concurrency and open space. It's a much bigger debate, but as many of you may have read, in the last legislative session, the state of Florida has provided local governments with the ability to opt out of this requirement. So what I'm here to tell you, and these things are recorded and I don't plan on retiring anytime soon, is that in the event that for whatever reason, all of you make a decision to change that policy, therefore eliminating the open space requirement that puts us in the position that Vice Mayor Kelly identified in the beginning of this proceeding, we're agnostic as to the use of the money. That commitment from Mr. Constantini is not going to go away, but as long as you reaffirm your commitment and it becomes an integral portion of our ability to get certificates of occupancy, I think you can appreciate how we want that money dedicated to the open space. And of course, there is 1.5 million dedicated toward the community facility. So again, I'm not going to get in the middle of what is a debate that you all might have in the next year or two, but from our perspective, and again, Mr. Constantini's perspective, in the event that there is a shift in your policy, I don't want you to think that we're going to pull the money away because it was specifically dedicated for that purpose. And if anyone wants us to clarify our position in the covenant, we will gladly do so. So again, I think that everything is properly before you. All the recommendations have been, I think, affirmed. There's competent, substantial evidence in the record. Again, we thank you for your patience, and we hope that you see it appropriate for the village and its residents to give us an affirmative vote on the issues before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Subject of the concurrency, compliance, and the allocation of the money. And this is a question, not a request. Schools is part of concurrency.
Yes.
And so with the, I'm not reaching a decision, but I'm musing.